All right. Today's video is about the fourth faulty assumption in my book about what it means to have a super marriage. As I said in my previous videos, I thought maybe for these couples, because they were extremely happy, there had to be something external that took place. And one of them was, well, they just never were attracted to other people. Well, don't laugh at me. I know that may sound silly, but really, when I looked at these couples and I saw they were just so in love with each other, how could they possibly be attracted to others? And so, call it youthful ignorance, there was a grain of truth in what I was looking at. So, first of all, once you fall in love and you have that extremely happily married relationship, that your spouse may be amazing to you as you are to him or her, but what happens is you don't cease to be attractive to others, and you don't cease to be attracted to others. So there's this idea of boundaries that you have to keep up. And so as I was interviewing these couples, I actually found, not necessarily, well, kind of the opposite, is that the human nature dictates, even if we found the best there is to find, there's this, I'm always looking at what I can't have. So the mind actually starts focusing on everything else. Even again, if you have the best there is. I joke in my book about a piece of pie. It's like, wow, look at that pecan pie. I really would love a slice of pecan pie. Well, ma'am, you already had the best piece of pie cake in the world. You have the death by chocolate, and everyone envies you because you have the biggest and the best slice of pie ever. Yes, I know. No, I understand. And I love that. I love death by chocolate. It's my favorite, but that pecan pie, it smells so good. It looks so good. It's like, but ma'am, you're allergic to pecans. Well, there is that anaphylaxis thing. But what about the lemon meringue? So I can't have that, and I can't have that, and I can't have that. And I stopped looking at the death by chocolate that I have, or in this example, my spouse. And so when we start looking at others, there's also this phrase, this acceptance of the concept of it's okay to look at the menu. Well, is it really? Let's just put ourselves there. You have a spouse you're in love with, you're very happy with. Just look at the menu. What are the other men? What are the other husbands doing? What are the other wives doing? Right? Oh, that guy's funnier than my husband. Oh, that guy's cuter than my husband. Oh, that guy's more athletic than my wife. Oh, that person. And even though we're like, but I got my wife. What good is being produced in this looking at the menu? And actually, one of my super wives seemed to have a grip on this. And I remember her name was Brooke, and Brooke said, why on earth would I want to look at the menu? Why would I want to tease myself and tell myself, look at all these men that you can't have? You're stuck with this one. And she said, I was very happy with mine. But if I started looking at the menu and found someone else who I thought was better than my own spouse, what are my options? So torment myself because I can never have this other person? Or to leave the spouse with which I've built a history? She said, no, I decided I was going to keep my eyes on my own menu. And as I interviewed various super couples, I found that they did the same thing. They almost knew that there was no good in looking anywhere but within their own homes. So this idea too of being attracted or attractive can also be taken to a third step. Once you stay a super spouse, once you stay focused on your spouse, once you stay in love, you actually become more attractive to others. I've heard women say, oh, that priest, what a waste. He'd make such a great husband, because they can't have him. Or you see a husband who just loves his wife and he says nice things about her, stays devoted. Other people are like, oh, I wish I had a husband like that. Look at how nice he treats his wife. So you have to be careful that you don't look elsewhere, because you have to understand that other people too see you as attractive. Look at the movie The Notebook. We see all movies like that where the couple made it through the yuck years. We don't see any of the stuff that happens in the middle, but we saw the beginning. We see the love story. We see them holding hands at the end 50, 60 years later, and they go to the Lord together. Like, oh, I want a marriage like that. But no one saw all the stuff that happened in the middle. So we are attracted to other people's love. We are attracted to people who love one another. Crazy, isn't it? So I wasn't really too far off when I thought and started interviewing, well, these super couples just didn't have that. Once they fell in love with their mate, because they were super, they never were attracted to anyone else. I was wrong, even though the foundation was there. So I want you to consider that. Do you look at the menu? Are you currently looking at the menu? Are you in a troubled marriage where your spouse is a bad communicator, so you're attracted to other men who communicate well with you? They email you well, they text you well. You just love the in-depth, intellectually stimulating conversation. Or what if your wife didn't keep herself in shape? She's overweight. She had children, just couldn't get her body back. And do you find yourself looking at other women who had children and were able to keep themselves in shape? They're athletic. They play on the softball team and they swim. They're at the gym with you. Is that going to do you any good? Because what are your options? To yearn for what you know you can't have? To start thinking less of your spouse because they're not as good as that person in that area? Or are you just going to leave your spouse and try it with that new person? See, none of these options is good, except for, you know what? I love my slice of death by chocolate. I'm not going to look at any other pies. I'm happy with my spouse. I'm not going to look at the menu. I'm going to focus on the relationship in front of me, and I'm going to make this relationship as attractive as possible. And if you do that, you're going to be surprised that you may actually find yourself in the next copy of the super couple because you've become one. That's what it takes to become a super couple. Loving one another, staying focused on one another, and not looking at what you can't have or don't have. So that's today's informational bacon bit. I hope it helps. I hope you understand that you too can have an extremely happy marriage, just like these super couples. Just do what they do. Get a copy of the book, by the way. You can go to my website, breakfastwithbacon.com, or you can go to Amazon or wherever books are sold, breakfastwithbacon.com, get a copy of The Super Couple and read about this faulty assumption and the other ones and figure out exactly what it did take for these couples to make it to happy, to extremely happy. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. Thank you for watching another episode, a mini episode of Breakfast with Bacon. And I want to remind you always to live your life sunny side up.